Dozens of sex toys washed up on a Scottish beach and the locals are confused. A Twitch streamer broadcasted their live birth to tens of thousands of people online. And Holiday Inn Express adds scented clocks so you can wake up and smell the breakfast. These are the weird stories on Weird AF News, the only daily weird news podcast hosted by a guy in a closet. I got some strange news for you. You know how we do it. Locals are bemused as dozens of sex toys wash up on a Scottish beach. The shocking discovery was made over the weekend after Storm Amy hit the area with the gale force winds. The bizarre find on the beach was made even stranger by the fact that the majority of these sex toys that washed up on the beach were still brand new. They were in the original wrapper. Well, damn it, this is what I get for ordering my 50 rubber dongs off Temu. Man, they never properly deliver these things when you order from Temu. Mine are on a beach in Scotland. Anybody over there in the vicinity of where my sex toys are on the beach? Could you repackage these and send them over to me? I'll give you my address. Just reach out to me, funnyjones@gmail.com. I really need these, all right? I got a party coming up. Very strange Halloween party involving some sex toys. These are jokes, guys. These are jokes. I'm not throwing a party. And if I did, it wouldn't involve 50 plus sex toys. I'm not some kind of freak. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, you do what you want to do in your private soiree. If you want to have 50 vibrators at your party, I mean, you're welcome to do so as far as I'm concerned. Well, let me get back into the story here, find out what they think the source of these 50 plus sex toys washing up on the beach. Where do they come from? My guess is there's some pretty freaky mermaids in the area. You know, mermaids like to get down with some toys, especially when they're trying to make some money on their OnlyFins accounts. Come on, guys, OnlyFins. Now we got a quote from one of the residents in the area. I can't do a Scottish accent, although I've tried many times at the disappointment of my listeners. I'll try something, though. This resident said, "Well, one couple who were out walking the dogs found one of the sex toys on Newton Beach, followed by another, then another, and then another. And then they found even more sex toys. Next thing, they're clearing the beach. They have an armful of these toys, which they're taking up to the bin to clear them all away. I wonder where they'll go. I don't know." Well, you're probably wondering, Jonesy, what accent was that? That wasn't Scottish, nor was it really English. What was that? Well, I would call that Ringo Starr if he was mentally disabled. Now, the article goes on to say that the discovery of these sex toys has been the cause of much amusement and confusion for those living in the area, but the source of the toys remains a complete mystery. Nobody seems to know where they're coming from. One resident went on to say, "Well, if it had been a student prank, you'd think that there would be only a few, but there are at least 50 plus of these sex toys that have washed up so far, and there were more that were washed up on Sunday even." Oh no, not sex toys washing up on the beach on the Lord's Day. Oh, that's blasphemy. I think this beach is going to need an exorcism now. What do you guys think? Well, that's it. That's the end of the article. We don't have any clues, no leads to where these might have arrived. These dildos galore, these beach dongs, these sex toys that are not only randy, they're also sandy. Now, if I was a gambling man, which I sometimes am, I would bet on the source of these sex toys as being China. Yeah, I think most of them come from China. Perhaps these sex toys were smuggled in some covert operation to avoid sex toy tariffs that have probably been slapped on some of these items. Well, it matters not. What's important is that we have these sex toys that were free for the community, which is nice. As you know, sex toys aren't exactly cheap these days. They're very sophisticated now. They involve various technologies, and the prices rise commensurably. And the other bright spot in this whole scene is, the more dildos you have on the beaches of Scotland, the less dildos you have on the courts at WNBA games. Yeah, what are you doing? A popular Twitch streamer streamed her birth live to 30+ thousand people. In one of the most surreal moments in Twitch history, American streamer Fandy broadcasted her own childbirth live to more than 30,000 viewers. So it looks like the real-life Truman has been born. You guys have seen the movie The Truman Show, where his entire life was broadcasted on television. This is a similar situation. Well, the start of it anyways. The start of this child's life has been live streamed. I believe you can also watch the baby's full conception video on the mom's OnlyFans account for $30 too, if you're interested in that. I'm kidding. I think. I'm not really sure. Although I think if this lady's streaming her birthing, more than likely she has streamed every other aspect of her life as well. Parents, hug your kids right now. Just hug your kids right now so that later on in life they don't have to do these things because they're not attention-seeking morons. Now I'm going to jump back into the article. It says the 29-year-old influencer, whose real name is Katie, began her 8-hour stream titled Baby Time Live Birth on October 7th after her water broke. She had set up a small inflatable pool in her Austin, Texas home for what's called a water birth. She was surrounded by her partner, Adam X, close friends, and even some family. She even invited everybody to the birthing. Imagine that. Imagine giving a damn so much that you watch a stranger's birthing. I don't know who has time for that. I certainly don't. I got a fantasy football podcasts to listen to and whatnot, I got priorities. Can't be watching random births online, even if it's free. But some people, they got nothing better to do. This is a hot take I have about the internet and the culture that we're in right now. Here's a hot take, guys. Ready? We all need to know less about each other. Crazy, huh? Crazy. Now, of course, it says here, within minutes, the stream went viral. Fans flooded her chat with messages of support, while others questioned if Twitch would actually allow a live birth on its platform. Of course, because it makes money. Of course, it's going to allow a birth. And by the way, while I'm on this topic, do you guys remember when Twitch, built as the video game streaming site, was a platform where you could actually watch video game streaming? Remember that? That's crazy. Okay, so back to the live birthing on Twitch. Viewers were wondering if this live birth was acceptable on the platform. Well, that debate ended when the actual CEO, Dan Clancy, himself appeared in the chat. Apparently, he's the CEO of Twitch. He gave it a thumbs up, this birthing. He even wrote, "Best of luck and congratulations, Fandy. Wishing you the best in this journey." Wow, imagine that. So cool, so cool. This baby's first like came from the actual CEO of the company itself. This baby's off to a grand start. This little Twitch baby made, as far as earnings go, more in its first 5 minutes on Earth than I've made in all of 2025. Isn't that awesome? That gives you hope. Now, it says the actual birthing stream walked a fine line between wholesome and very intense. Fandy was seen wincing through contractions and joking to, quote, "hurry this baby up," despite some viewers feeling uncomfortable with the act. Twitch confirmed that no rules were broken since the stream didn't show any graphic visuals, keeping everything within the platform's community guidelines. What, did you blur out her vagina? Is that what you did? Did you blur out the vagine? I didn't watch it, and there's no video accompanying this article, so can anybody confirm? Did they blur out the vagine? Did it look like the baby was just like its head was poking out through a 8-bit blur of some sort? I'm not even going to go search for this video. I don't want to see it. I don't need to see it. I think this is all just foolishness. And here we are in 2025. Giving birth is now a spectator sport. I can't imagine needing this much attention. I really can't. The article ends by saying clips from the birthing stream have since made their way to multiple social media platforms, including Instagram and X, where people are still in awe of this one-of-a-kind idea. Are they really in awe of this one-of-a-kind idea? That just tells you most people are a bunch of sheeple right there. You shouldn't be in awe of this. No, the proper response is to be repulsed by this, but, that's going to be considered a hot take for reasons that I don't need to go into. It says here, Fandy got the better side of the deal anyway. More views and more followers. Yeah, because that's all that matters in life, right? More views and more likes and more followers. Who cares if you compromise morals and ethics and all that silly stuff that was built up by the culture over eons to make sure that we behave properly?
When it comes to what your family eats and drinks, you know your choices matter. You're the expert because you know what fits your life. And getting it right starts with good information. That's why America's beverage companies are sharing more information about our ingredients at goodtoknowfacts.org. No spin, no judgments, just the facts straight from the experts for more than 140 beverage ingredients. Visit goodtoknowfacts.org.
Wake up to the smell of breakfast. Holiday Inn Express adds scent-based alarm clocks to their hotel rooms. How about that? Scent-based alarm clocks. Wow, technology and what we're doing with it. Oh, amazing. No time machines yet, but we got scented alarm clocks that wake you up with the smell of bacon. Bacon. This article begins with the sentence, "Wake up and smell the sausage." Holiday Inn Express is launching a world-first hotel experience with a scent-based alarm clock in an effort to improve guests' sleep and mornings. Beeps and buzzers, those are out the door. That's old school. That's archaic. Holiday Inn Express breakfast alarm clock is a brand new device that wakes guests up with the sweet and savory smells of breakfast instead of those annoying beeps and buzzers. No. Now it's bacon and eggs, sausage and spam, spam, eggs and spam, sausage and spam, and eggs and spam.
But I don't like spam!
Well, that's fine then. You can wake up to the buzzing and beeping alarm clocks like we used to do in medieval times.
All right, let me jump back into the story, find out where these alarm clocks are going to be rolled out, and will they cost the customers extra to wake up to the smell of eggs and Tabasco sauce. All Holiday Inn Express hotels across Australia and New Zealand, as well as participating hotels in Singapore, Thailand, and Japan, will offer patrons the chance to trial this new breakfast-scented alarm clock experience. Oh, well, so it sounds like it's not being rolled out in the U.S. just yet. Guests will be able to pick the wake-up scent of their choice. You could choose your wake-up scent. How about that, guys? You could choose coffee, bacon, blueberry muffin, as well as nashi pear in Japan and mango in Singapore and Thailand. I wouldn't mind waking up to the smell of coffee and bacon together. Can you do that? Can you do a little combo platter? By the way, you don't need this alarm clock to wake up to the smell of coffee. You can get one of those coffee makers that are set with an alarm to brew at a certain time, and you can wake up to the smell of coffee happening in your environment. And that's an amazing thing that's been going on for a while now, and I've used it. And admittedly, I have woken up to the smell of bacon before, but that's only because there was someone cooking it in the household. Those times now are very few and far between. But I do recall as a child waking up to the smell of
Gemmadine sausage. You guys ever have the Gemmadine sausage?
Stepdad used to cook the frozen
Gemmadine sausage right there on the skillet.
Oh, man, waking up to the smell of that sheep sausage. Wow, that was so good. Don't go out and buy Jimmy Dean sausage right now. They just had a big recall on their products. Apparently, they're poisonous, which I kind of already knew growing up on them. Now, as far as how this alarm works technologically, which I'm curious, apparently it acts like a diffuser, releasing these delicious scents of your favorite breakfast items when it's time to wake up. The concept was inspired by research commissioned by Holiday Inn Express that found that 58% of travelers in the Asia Pacific said that a pleasant smell would help them feel better when they wake up, especially while traveling. Oh, really? That was your deep research that you did? I mean, come on. I mean, how much did you spend on that, gathering that data? Any pleasurable sensorial experience is better to wake up with than displeasurable sensorial experiences. I mean, pleasant sounds are also pleasurable to wake up to. I mean, wow, what are we doing? Like, you don't have to sell us on this product with some bogus data that's completely meaningless and totally obvious, all right? If you tell us we're waking up to the smell of bacon and sausage and mangoes and peaches, we're on board. I mean, you might as well roll out some data that says, we did a study that showed more people like to wake up to the smell of bacon than a punch in the face.
Gee, thanks, Holiday Express. I wouldn't have tried the great smelling alarm clock if you didn't tell me that it was better than a punch to the face.
Here's a quote from... No, I'm not even going to read this quote because it's about their study. And they got the percentage of people that responded to like how much they like bacon when they wake up in the morning or the smell of fresh fruit. Yeah. Captain Obvious. Yeah, less money towards your stupid data, Holiday Inn Express, and more money towards rolling out these sweet-smelling alarm clocks in places like the U.S., all right? I want to wake up to the smell of croissants, please. Also, FYI, if I stay at a Holiday Inn Express and one of these diffuser alarm clocks that smell like breakfast are there, I'm stealing it. I'm just letting you know right now I'm stealing it. So, more useful data would be interview people about it and find out what percentage of them would actually steal your alarm clock, and then decide whether or not you need to invest on something to chain the alarm clock to the nightstand so no one can take it away. See that? Look, I'm not even in charge of a corporation, and I know how to make better decisions than the corporations themselves, as I've done so many times on Weird AF News. Some of you may have been witnesses to such brilliance. And maybe some of you own corporations and you need answers and you need ideas. Well, I could be paid as a consultant. I'm just putting it out there, all right? I make no money doing this. If you want to pay me on the side to consult, I'll tell you exactly how not to be dumb. Now, in conclusion, the alarm clock is going to roll out to those countries starting October 20th. So pretty soon, maybe some of you are in these places and you can experience this. Please report back to base. By base, I mean me at Weird AF News. My email is funnyjones@gmail.com. If you happen to be able to steal one or two of these amazing devices that would bring me pleasure in my own personal life, I will give you my address and you can send them to me. Hi, my loyal listeners and friends of the Weird AF News podcast. I appreciate your presence during this episode. Got a nice email from a young individual named Nathan, who is a fan of the show. He wrote me, "I am 13, Jonesy, and I listen to your podcast till 2 a.m. Well, Nathan, you're 13 years old. I don't think you should be staying up till 2 a.m. And now, being that my podcast is contributing to your very late night sessions, I'm wondering whether or not I'm culpable, responsible for you being up till 2 a.m. You can listen to the podcast during the day or during breakfast if you'd like. You don't have to stay up until 2 a.m. Sheesh, Nathan, come on, get some sleep, all right? You got school in the morning, kid. All right, let me continue with the email. Nathan's amazing, by the way, that he would write me this email. He said, "I would like to thank you for your podcast because it always makes me happy with the terrible world that we live in. And then I got a Florida story for you, Jonesy. Enjoy." And then he gave me a nice little link to a Florida story. You're very welcome, Nathan, and I want to thank you so much for this touching email. I'm so happy to know that I have young listeners that get something out of the podcast. I'm glad it makes you happy with the terrible world that we live in. Also, it kind of makes me sad that they see where the youth is at right now because of the media and the landscape that we've created. They think that we live in a terrible world. I mean, when I was 13, I didn't think I lived in a terrible world. I actually was happy. I played sports outside all the time, and I don't know, I wasn't as depressed as kids seem to be these days. So I guess a word for Nathan. Hey, man, keep your head up, all right? Now, I know that if you pay attention to the media, especially mainstream media, it looks like the world is terrible, but that doesn't have to affect you, all right? You can create your own world, buddy, and your world doesn't have to involve all those terrible people out there, all right? It can just be your friends and your family. You create your own little world, with your activities and your life. And it can be a little microcosm of joy just for you. You can curate your world, man, like picking things off a menu, picking your activities, picking your friends. And you can make it, as joyful as you want, buddy. So keep that in mind. I know it sounds impossible, but it's totally not. It's totally doable. Being happy is definitely a choice, and you can start that today, my friend. Weird AF News is something that you've brought into your world to make you happy. There's tons of other stuff just like this that you can have as part of your daily routine to make you happy. Whether it's Weird AF News podcast or another podcast or some great music that you enjoy or a sports activity or butterscotch pudding. You could have that every day if that makes you happy. I don't recommend eating butterscotch pudding every single day because then you're going to have an issue with your doctor and your blood sugar and whatnot. But anyways, shout out to Nathan. Stay in touch with me, buddy. Everything's going to be cool. I'd also like to now give thanks and praise to Bella from Minnesota, who just bought me coffees off my website, weirdafnews.com. Bella has bought me many coffees off my website. She's been responsible for a lot of my nicotine, my caffeine intake. She wrote, "Jonesy, just wanted to remind you that you bring a smile and laugh to my life daily, 5 days a week, technically. I also replay a different episode for the 2 days in between. Haha. Been a tough year, but wanted to make sure you know I am one of many who find a reason to smile because of your closet time and daily headlines. My dogs don't invade human spaces, by the way. Restaurants, airports, theaters. I had no idea that was a thing. Unless someone is in my house sitting down, at which point my dogs might insist on showing some love. Much love from Minnesota. Plan a trip to the north. Oh, I would love to come to Minnesota. Plan a trip. I want to go to that mall. Don't you guys have like a water park inside your mall? Something like that. Yeah, but it's probably getting too cold to visit though, Bella. So stay warm up there, Bella. And thanks for the coffee. Appreciate you and your support, your ongoing support. OG. Also, another OG, Adam Mobley, bought me a coffee. Adam's bought me many coffees. OG listener, fan, supporter of the show, wrote, "Hi, Jonesy. I was inspired by your last night's episode and wrote you a horror quickie. So here it is. It's all true. I had a dark, vivid nightmare. It started of an ICE agent that seems to have not eaten nor slept in months. To my utter terror, he was like that of a skeleton, radiating hateful ideologies, driven mad in the pursuit of a pale, stressed-looking young man wearing a poncho running frantically away, with undertones of a dream in which was cast into chaos apparent in his skull holes. But the ICE agent was closing the gap between them, with his icy-cold, bony claws like hands outstretched, eagerly to sink into the poncho-wearing one's flesh, fleeing for safety in a world now turned against him and his kind. And during this truly nightmarish scene, I had an epiphany. It's all white. It's all white. Bone deep, right? I gasped, awakened." Wow, this was great. Adam has a way with poetry, obviously. Adam, do you write short stories or something? I mean, you've written me before stuff like, not quite like this, but like, you've kind of wowed me with your language skills. So just wondering if you're a writer of any sort. Also, I really enjoy the underlying point that Adam's made here with his poetry, which is that underneath all of our skin, which people like to use as a way to divide us, underneath all of that skin is skeleton, and underneath we're all the same. Inside, a lot of us are the same too. So I mean, when you look at it that way, it all just seems really, really silly. And he's referring to the Halloween decorations on some sheriff's lawn in Alabama, story I covered yesterday. Sometimes I think that Weird AF News could be the force that brings everybody together in the world. I don't know if that's crazy, but if more people listen to Weird AF News, don't you think the chasm that has grown between us would shrink just a little bit? Just a little bit. Humor is very, very helpful. It heals, as you know. Anyways, if you want to support the show, go to weirdafnews.com. You can buy me coffee or join the Patreon. If you'd like to email me, it's funnyjones@gmail.com, and my Instagram is @funnyjones. Thanks for spending some time with me, and good luck with your life, man.